As I begin to work on this Montgomery Ward's TV with the split chassis, I just unhooked the other chassis and going to concentrate on the high voltage oscillator and the high voltage circuit. And what I'm going to do is check resistance readings first. You can see I have my test sockets on here on each tube, where I can check resistance readings first, and if they all pan out, then I'll check some voltage readings with the other section of the chassis plugged in. Okay, here's what I found so far. I did have DC voltage on the selenium rectifiers, which are right over there, but I wasn't going to leave them anyway, so I've replaced them with two silicon rectifiers right here. 10 ohm resistor, which is over there. It's still checked okay, but it's one of the old sandbars, so I replaced it with a wire wound right here. And this filter cap, this one right there, better light, yeah, right there, a 3-section filter cap. It's leaky, because in measuring my DC voltage, even with the silicon rectifiers, I had like 30-40 volts of AC leakage. So what I've done, I've replaced all 3 of those sections with just individual caps. And 2 sections of it are on each side of this choke here at the bottom, which is right here. So this is one side of the choke, this is the other side. So there's a ground terminal strip that goes to ground right there. Used it as ground for my 2 caps. And I've got one section hooked up here, the other section over here. So that took care of 2 of the sections. The A section, which is the one that connects to the silicon or to the rectifiers, is right here. And I did the same thing on it. I used a terminal strip ground, mounted it to ground right there, and then just hooked up the positive side right there. This chassis is a grounded chassis, which means the filter caps are connected to the chassis. So I was able to do that on all 3 sections. I'll just leave this old one in. Won't hurt anything. It's not hooked up. All the wires are disconnected, so I'll just leave it in the chassis just for the appearance. So I'm going to turn it on here again and see what we get on our DC voltage, see if we got rid of all that leakage, and proceed. And now here's the DC on the rectifier cathode, 260, and no leakage. See, practically no leakage. There we go. And here's section B of 238, and section C of 224, and no leakage on either one of them. So I think my power supply is working like it should now. After getting the power supply working okay, I've done some voltage checks in this high voltage section, and this 6X5, the low voltage rectifier, really the only voltage I can check is the 620 volts on pin 8, and I have it. So this voltage is right. On the 6Y6, the voltages are right. So I think I'm to the point now where these high voltage caps are probably what's causing no high voltage. Because on pin 5 of the 6SN7, I should have around 310 volts right there. And I've got about 170, which tells me that these caps are apparently, neither one of them are working. Okay, here's C80 and here's C81, and they have both been replaced in the past, and they're both sticky feeling like they're leaking out, so pretty confident that both of those are bad. Fortunately, when last time I placed an order for some high voltage caps, I was anticipating working on this set, and I looked on the parts layout, and I did order a couple of .001s. That's 6,000 volt. So I'm going to put them in. Hopefully we'll get some high voltage then. Well, we do have some high voltage now, but not enough. About 2,000 volts. So I'm suspecting that a lot of these caps here in the high voltage section, and that board that's not very accessible, I have to pull it out probably and just replace the caps in there and check the resistors. Also have a few paper caps under the chassis here in the vertical and horizontal circuit that I'll go ahead and replace them too while I'm into it. Not sure if my phone will pick this up, but I do have some raster. When I turn the power right off, see the difference there. So that's encouraging. Well, I made some more progress. I do have a line on the screen anyway. And most of the controls are working. Like there's focus, you can see it's changing. That's vertical centering. It's working. Horizontal size is working. Well, made a little progress today. I do have a raster. Tuner's not working. Haven't even started on this part of the set. That's a signal board and there's a power transformer, but the rest of this is signal processing pretty much. Audio and picture. And I think my high voltage is still a tad low, so I haven't even addressed the caps and resistors in that high voltage supply. I have the high voltage circuit pulled out. I did have to unhook these two wires, this wire here, this wire, and these two. But I've got it tipped up there now where I can get to the parts. I'm just going to change all of these caps. I think there's 3, 4, 5, 7 caps there. I'll just put all new ones in of those. Check the resistors. Not too many of them, but if there's any out of tolerance, I'll change them too. A little more progress. Looking in the mirror there to show you the screen. Let's see, I can get around here. There we go. High voltage is normal now after repairing the high voltage oscillator and output circuit. Put new caps, a couple of new resistors underneath that board there. And I look to have some sync problems now, so it's time to start working on the signal board. Just first thing I've done, I have cleaned all the tube sockets, cleaned the tube pins off, checked all the tubes, they're good. So we got something going on in the sync circuit. But at least our high voltage is back up to normal, and I feel like everything on this board here is okay now. I think I am going to put the shield back on, because that may be contributing to some of the instability there if the high voltage leaking around that shield. I doubt if that'll help, but I'm going to try that anyway. But making progress. Well, success. Figured out the problem. Turned out to be pretty simple, just a bad tube. It's the DC Restore Sync Separator tube was bad. It's a 6AU6, and I know I checked that tube whenever I first started working on the set, but it was bad. So put that in. I've got good sync, vertical and horizontal are the right shapes. Horizontal scooted to the side a little there. This is on, of course, signal generator, but the tuner works too. I have a blonder tongue modulator on channel 6 where I broadcast on, and it's working too. Hook just hooked the generator up to get my geometry adjustments. I was looking over this tuner. There is no fine tuning. I kept looking for a fine tuning shaft, and there's not one. The way you fine tune this set, see each channel position is numbered here. It starts with 1. This set does have channel 1, which is kind of rare too. We got 2, 3, 4, on up to 13, and each one of those slots is a tuning cap inside that slot. And that's how you fine tune for each channel. It is very solid. I've had my agile modulator on channel 6, and I fine tuned it, and I mean, it stays right on it. It doesn't drift, so pretty good tuner as far as staying on the channel. Well, that pretty much finishes up the chassis. I may try to do something about this rust on the top here. One unique feature this set has, this is normal viewing mode where your picture is in proportion. And this button here, it's called Telephoto Control. And basically what it does, if you push this button, it just blows the picture up. You see we have, what, 6 squares across. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in normal mode. So, kind of a gimmicky feature back in the day, but I guess if you push that, you can see someone's face a lot better on the screen, even though it pretty much eliminates all the outside portion of the screen. But just something that this set had that's kind of unique. That'll do it for part 2. Check back for part 3 when I work on the cabinet, try to get it cleaned up and get some knobs for this set and get everything put back and show you the completed job. Thanks for watching.
We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, and we'd love it if you would subscribe to our channel. Thanks.